If you haven't already heard, the Adidas F50 is back. They finally launched the release colorway. The last couple months I've done a few videos on some pairs I got unreleased, but I do have the official release colorway with me here today. The original Chameleon colorway actually dropped in 2010 with the Adi Zero Primes. It was worn by Messi, it was worn by all sorts of professional players who love the F50, and it's actually a color that a lot of boot heads like myself have been surprised they haven't actually remade before. So if we unbox them here, they do come with an extra pair of insoles and they say comfort on them. This is exactly how the OG F50s came. I don't know exactly when they started doing this. I didn't get F50s till way after they were done making them, and I don't have an original pair with the original box. Earlier, I pulled out a pair of the insoles and compared them with one of these, and they seem maybe slightly thicker, but I don't think they're gonna really add any comfort. There's no extra cushioning. It's just, I don't know, maybe a millimeter thicker of memory foam, so no major difference there. If we look at the boots themselves, I mean, you can even just see from this video when the light catches it, you got a little bit of hints of green here, and that's kind of why they call it the Chameleon colorway. And that's how the OG pair looked as well. Mostly purple to the eye, but if you catch it in light, you can see it's green. Retail for these boots is gonna run you $260 US, and I don't know what it is in other currencies. I paid $275 as a friend of mine got an extra pair, so shout out Ricky, appreciate it. And again, I don't think these boots are worth anywhere close to what the resale prices are. I understand people wanna make money off a hyped release, but before we break this boot down itself, I wanted to talk about the tier system. So Footy Headlines, even though they steal tons of people's content and don't like to get credit, I did see that they posted something about how Adidas is ranking everything. So in between the time of me filming and editing this, Adidas actually came out with the proper tier system, so I didn't have to guess what it was. There is still a Plus model. It has not yet been released to the public. There's then the Elite model, which is what the Chameleon F50s are that I have with me now. There is the Laceless model, which I actually have an unreleased version that I'm not supposed to have. And then there is the women's mid-cut version. So I believe it's marketed as a women's boot. I believe you'll still be able to buy them, but just know if you're a guy, it's gonna be a little bit different sizing. Now it's time to talk about the tech specs of the new Adidas F50 Elite. As we jump into tech specs real quick, I just want you guys to know that I did not wear this specific boot in this colorway. It is very, very cool, and I just could not get myself to wear these. I've already worn a blackout colorway, probably 15-ish hours, and I've already done 2 videos on this model. So I do know what they feel like, everything. They're the exact same boot. I've looked at them pretty closely. There's no differences. This is a sample model, but just because it was probably supposed to go to a retailer. So I have worn these boots. I do know my opinions that I'm talking to you about. So I'm not just giving you an opinion because of what I see or wearing this boot once. I've worn it already. And I just want to be honest with you guys so nobody thinks I'm just lying. This sole plate is the new Sprint Frame 360 sole plate, and this one has a really cool green metallic-y texture to it, or coloring to it. Now the back 4 studs are exactly like the Speed Flow and Ghosted, and then you have a mix of some new studs. You have the toe pick, or I guess not even toe pick, but midfoot pick studs here in the middle, and then some more Speed Flow studs on the top. So it's kind of new, it's kind of not. It even has the kind of 3 ribs that the OG Primes had, the OG Adi Zero Primes had, so that's also cool. And I like the sole plate. If you're playing on a really nice turf pitch, you're not gonna have any issues. If you're playing on a okay turf pitch, you might feel a little bit like these boots are too aggressive. But for the most part, I didn't have any problems with these on turf. I think I wore them on a couple different turf facilities and no real problems. They're slightly too big, but once the AG sole plate for these drops, I'm definitely going to scoop it up. I've seen a few photos of them and I want to do a review on them because I do like testing out AG sole plates because I feel that's one thing in the US that there isn't enough of is AG. So when the AG sole plate comes out, I'm definitely doing a review on this boot again. Now the upper is what I would say has the biggest change from the Crazy Fast to now. And it's a very kind of tougher synthetic material. It definitely breaks in a bit. I will try to give you a better visual than this, but you can kind of see that the black pair is a bit more broken in, and that's obviously because I've worn it, but it does have the capacity to soften up. It's not uncomfortable when you put it on your feet, but it's definitely different. It's a bit more strange. It even has that fiber touch coating on the upper. I talked about this with my first pair when I didn't know a single thing about these boots other than what they look like. After watching, I believe I watched a Unisports video with J Mike. He talked everything about the boot, and everything I thought about the boot was correct. So that's good to know that it's pretty easy to draw conclusions from writing on the boots. You know, I didn't do anything special there. The fiber touch feels just like some raised plastic. It does not feel like it's rubber. It doesn't feel like it's any sort of crazy texture. I don't really think it made much of a difference when I wore it. I wish it did, because I would love to become a better player based on the boots, but it's a cool technology, I guess. I think it's something Adidas is going to continue to implement with every single boot, because the Copa Pure 2 has it, now the F50 has it, and even the Predators have the rubber elements. So it just seems like it's something that is probably going to be here to stay. On the outside of the boot, on the upper, it has this writing that says Sprint Web. And I assumed that the Sprint Web was kind of just the inner cage of the boot, if you want to call it that. I don't really know a better way to describe it. But inside the boot itself, just kind of the material that kind of gives the boot its structure. I don't really think it makes a difference. While the inside of the boot is softer, I think it has more of a felty texture on the inside. It's not just the same plastic that's on the outside that's on the inside, so that's cool. But again, I don't think it's a technology you're really gonna notice. A big change if we compare the Crazy Fast Plus to this Adidas F50 Elite, which I think is the Plus as well, is gonna be the tongue here. So this actually is a compression fit system tongue, and the Crazy Fast Plus actually brought us back a free floating tongue for the first time since I think the Adidas X15 Plus, so or just 15. So we're talking 8 years, maybe 7 to 8 generations of boots. Now this is a tongue. It is not a free floating tongue like the X Crazy Fast Plus, because while it is stitched in down here at the bottom, the compression fit system actually wraps around the entire inside of the boot here up into the toe box, I believe, or maybe even past the toe box. No, it goes just to the toe box. And no issue with this compression fit system. You slip it right on, it wraps right around your foot. You don't even know it's there. It just feels like you're wearing a normal knit one-piece upper boot. So it feels like you're wearing an upper, like this knit boot. Not that you're wearing a laceless boot, because you have those laces that lock your foot down, but you know, it's really good. It's a really good tongue. It's good to know that although they're not the old F50s, they're a new F50, I think the technologies they're implementing into it is going to solidify it as maybe not nostalgic, but okay, I'm back wearing my F50s again, and it feels more like an F50 boot, if that makes sense. The heel on this boot is pretty nice as well. You have a really nice high heel cup that rises up. It's pretty solid. It doesn't move a lot. That's what I love. And it even has a very pliable like heel tab here. So this heel tab is very soft. It reminds me of the Speedflow's heel tab. I think that's what a lot of people enjoy about the Speedflow. It's just that back is so comfortable. I mean, there's everything about the Speedflow is great for the most part. But you know, that heel is really nice. This heel tab's great, and there's padding on the entire inside of the boot. So from the start of where your heel sits all the way up your Achilles tendon, all around the side of the boot here, there's a nice soft padding, and that's just gonna eliminate blisters. I haven't got blisters from boots in over a year, and again, I don't know if that's because I just wear different boots all the time and my skin's just super tough now, but having just a nice, soft, comfortable material like this in the back is really, really nice, and I'm glad that they're at least trying to keep boots comfortable. I wanted to talk about these insoles again because it's cool to me that they're bringing back the old style F50 kind of feel when you open the box. Oh, my extra set of insoles. If I were to compare them to this, which I talked about earlier, but the only real difference is, if I can grab these, is that this, the pair that already comes in the boots are just kind of cut out. So there's a little bit of extra holes on there, which is not gonna really make a difference when it comes to the weight. And these comfort insoles feel just they're a little bit thicker, maybe slightly thicker, no holes, still the same fabric-y material, and it's the same exact thing that the F50s did in the past. So I don't know why you'd want extra insoles. Maybe they make a difference. Maybe I'll try the comfort insoles when I do the AG pair, whenever they release, but you know, it's just a cool touch and I want to bring it up again. Now, if you're wondering what size you should buy, I'm going to recommend that you get your normal Adidas size. So whatever you've worn in the Adidas X in the past, get in this. I didn't really think there was much room at all in the toe, maybe a little bit, but my feet are just super weird and I'm sure you guys are fine. If you wear a 9, you're going to be fine in a 9. If you wore a 10, get a 10. And if you're going from Nike to Adidas, Sometimes there's a half a size discrepancy, so do your best to get into a soccer store and put a pair on if you have the opportunity. I know it's not doable for everybody because soccer stores are kind of becoming limited and closing down a lot more frequently, so do what you can, but honestly, getting your normal size, I think you'll be just okay. Without the comfort insoles, I will let you know that this boot is still pretty comfortable. Maybe that'll make it slightly better. But having wide feet, I can tell you now, I had no issues here at all. I really think that this boot is going to be good for pretty much all foot shapes. Now, if you have super, super wide feet, then okay, maybe we're talking, this boot might not be for you. But if you break it in, if you can get past the first hour, if you do have any discomforts, which I can't remember if I did, I don't think I did really, you should be fine. You know, it's a pretty flimsy boot in terms of, you know, it has structure, but it's not solid. You know, it's not gonna really hold its shape to the point where your foot can't push it out. Your foot can push this boot out pretty easily. You know, I'm able to flatten it pretty easily. And I think that if you're worried about these boots not being comfortable, you know, they're not leather, I wouldn't really worry about that too much. Overall comfort of this boot, very good. Last thing we're gonna talk about is durability, and durability has been more of a rant in the last 15, 20 boot reviews. And most of the time it's Adidas and Nike that I'm ranting about, and it's because it's crap for the most part. Now, these boots themselves, I think held together pretty well. I want to say I had some slight separation on one of the heel cups from, yeah. So this boot here, we'll see if you can even see that, but like you can kind of see how it's like white and shiny right there, if it'll focus. That's kind of a little bit of peeling away from the upper. Nothing insane, so I didn't have any problem with the front of the sole plate near the toe. Still not great for wearing a boot 10, 15 hours. We're talking a couple training sessions in a game, 2 games maybe. So not the greatest. Now I get they're a thin boot, but just be aware. My final thoughts for the F50 are this. We cannot treat this like the OG F50s. I don't think they are very similar to the OG F50s. I think the sole plate does have some significance, but it's its own model. We have to treat it like its own model. I don't want to treat this like a remake where I have the original boot on top of a new sole plate, because let's be honest, some of the old sole plates are better, but it's still a good boot. I really did enjoy wearing this. I think now that most of you are going to be buying either this or the new models that are coming out in the next couple months, you're gonna find that you really enjoy this boot. I think it's a step up from the Crazy Fast 0.1 at the very least. I think that was a very lacking boot. It felt the same as the Speed Portal, maybe slightly better, but the Speed Portal was also crap. You know, the Speed Flow was fantastic. The Ghosted was crap. And the 18 and 19.1s, I would argue, have been the best models in the last 5-6 years. You know, I think this is going to come close to those, and we'll probably surpass them. But just keep an open mind. You know, if I had to rate this boot, I couldn't even tell you because I don't remember what I rated the first one. I think it was like an 8-ish rating, which is decent. But based on this colorway, at first I hated it because I thought it was poorly executed. But in hand, I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10 colorway rating. Performance rating was somewhere in an 8, you know, so that's really, really good. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Thank you for watching. Try to get your hand on a pair of these if you can. I think you'll love them. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next review. Please make sure to subscribe, drop a like, and I'll catch you in the next review.